Sensors and transducers. Unit 6. An ideal transducer should show high linearity. A linear system should produce exact output AC to input and high dynamic range, repeatability, and low noise. Active transducers, that is thermocouple, are self-generating type. They don't require external power to work, while passive transducers require external power to work, like LVDT. Self-generating transducers, that is active transducers, is due to property of working without the use of external power. Analog transducer converts physical quantity to analog quantities, while digital transducers converts physical quantities to analog, that is analog quantities to digital signals. Strain gauge is an example of an analog transducer. Linear variable differential transformer (LVDT) is a type of transformer which is used for measuring displacement, and it has the same principle of operation of transformer, that is mutual induction. Piezoelectric crystals produces an electric signal when pressure applied. For example, are quartz, Rochelle salt, that is it converts force into electrical signals. Capacitive transducers converts measurand into changes in capacitance. Change in capacitance is caused by change in dielectric or change in distance between plates, that is dynamic measurement. Photoconductive action is the property of reduction of resistance when exposed to light. Selenium shows the photoconductive action. Transducers are devices that converts energy from one form to another. This energy can be either mechanical energy, light energy, or any other form of energy. Active transducers do not require any additional power supply for converting energy from one form to another, as they work on the principle of energy conservation, that is thermocouple. The piezoelectric transducers converts mechanical to electrical energy. They are generally used to detect the knocks or any impulsive force. They are also used in electric drum pads to detect impulse provided by the drumsticks. The LM35 IC manufactured by Texas Instruments is used as a temperature sensor. The output voltage generated by these ICs is linearly proportional to the temperature in centigrade. The output voltage is directly proportional to the temperature. Ultrasound produces the ultrasounds in a wide range of application in many fields. Ultrasonic transducers produces frequency rating from 20 kilohertz to several gigahertz. Ultrasounds have a wide range of application in many fields, but majorly they are used for measuring the distance of objects. LVDT is a displacement transducer that converts rectilinear motion to the electric signal. They are used widely due to their robustness. When light falls on LDR, light dependent resistor, its resistance changes. It is inversely proportional to the intensity of light. When light falls on LDR, the resistance decreases and more current starts to flow through it. It is used to measure the intensity of light. Hall effect transducers or sensors is used to measuring the magnitude of the magnetic field. The output voltage produced by the sensor is directly proportional to the strength of magnetic field passing through it. The inductive transducers can be used for measuring displacement and thickness of thin plates. Inductive potentiometer has same function as linear potentiometers and is used for measuring displacement. Capacitance of a material is affected by area and distance of separation of plates and dielectric material. Strain to be measured is applied to the parallel plates of a capacitor and total displacement change will be proportional to the strain. Capacitive transducers application in measurement of both strain and pressure and angular displacement to find out. Hence, all the capacitive strain gauges, tachometers, and pressure transducers can be treated as application of capacitive transducers. Capacitance C is equal to epsilon 0 epsilon r A upon D, where A are dielectric constant, area of plate A, and D is the distance between plates. Decrease in distance between plate and all other factors are constant. Capacitive transducer finds application in measuring almost all quantities like displacement, thickness, moisture, speed, temperature, as in way moisture measurement. Piezoelectric effect was first invented and explained by the Curie brothers, Pierre Curie and Jacques Curie in 1980. Quartz, ADP, ammonium dihydrogen phosphate, and beryllium are examples of piezoelectric materials. Piezoelectric transducers can be used to measure a wide range of quantity like pressure, acceleration, strain, displacement, etc. For a piezoelectric strain transducer, as the strain applied increases, the output voltage also increases. Voltage is directly proportional to the strain. Photoelectric devices are sensitive to certain wavelengths only, hence they should be calibrated before every use. In photoemissive transducers, electrons emitted by the cathode are attracted by anode plates. The quantities that can be measured are called as physical quantities or measurand. A passive transducer is an externally powered transducer. This device cannot convert a physical signal into an electrical signal on its own to another energy source. The passive element, when connected, it transforms the motion by the fluctuations generated from the power supply which being recorded. Photoconductive cells are materials which conductivity on the application of light, that is materials of selenium, silicon and germanium. Photojunction diodes are semiconductor layers formed by silicon and germanium which are used in photovoltaic cell. Phototransistors are formed by placing two photodiodes back to back. Thermocouple is a device which converts thermal energy to electrical energy and it can be treated as a primary device. Operation of thermocouple is based on three major effects: Peltier effect, Thomson effect and Seebeck effect. All describes the relation between current flow and temperature between two different metals. Immersion type thermocouple can be used to measure temperature of liquid in which thermocouple is immersed in liquid. Active transducers can be subdivided into four parts: photovoltaic, thermoelectric, piezoelectric, electromagnetic. Active transducers are also known as self-generating type of transducers. They develop an electrical voltage or current proportional to the quantity being measured. Passive transducers develop electrical signals by means of an external source. They are usually known as externally power driven sources. In capacitive transduction, measurand involves the change between the capacitance. It changes when distance between the plates is varied or by the change in a dielectric. Electromagnetic transduction involves the conversion of the measurand into electromotive force. Magnetic flux is produced as a result of relative motion between the magnet and an electromagnet. In an inductive transduction based system, measurand involves changes in the self induction of the coil. In a photovoltaic transduction based system, measurand is converted into voltage when the junction between dissimilar elements is illuminated. Voltage generation through light. Analog transducers converts input into analog signals. The output is a continuous function of time. Strain gauge, LVDT, thermistors, etc. are analog transducers as they produces outputs which are a continuous function of time. An inverse transducer is used to convert electrical quantity into a physical quantity. For example, loudspeakers convert electrical signals into sound signals. Digital transducers produce digital output in response to an input signal. A unique code is generated for each discrete value sensed. A transducer is selected based on the nature of the quantity that is being measured. For example, temperature measurement involves the use of temperature sensors, whereas measurement of stress involves a strain gauge. Transducers should operate under strong magnetic fields. Generally, transducers with a low value of output impedance, high value of output voltage, and shorter cable length are not susceptible to such interference. There are three passive transducers, that is resistive, inductive and capacitive transducers. Smallest change which a sensor can detect is resolution. Thermocouple is a device which is capable of producing output voltage AC to input temperature. Sensor is a device which enables measurement of input value. Potentiometers for sensing resistors and accelerometers are analog sensors. The thermistor is a thermally sensitive resistor that exhibits a large, predictable, and precise change in resistance correlated to variation in temperature. A resistance thermometer measures temperature by correlating the resistance of the RTD with temperature. An RTD consists of a film or, for greater accuracy, a wire wrapped around a ceramic or glass core. Thermocouple consists of two different metals connected at 2 points. The varying voltage between these 2 points reflects proportional changes in temperature. A semiconductor-based temperature sensor is placed on IC. They are linear but have the lowest accuracy. Semiconductor PN junction diode is photodiode. It is always operated in the reversed bias condition. The light is always focused through a glass lens on the junction of the photodiode. Output transducers are which converts electrical quantity into non-electrical quantities, known as inverse transducers. Transducers are devices which transfers measurand which will be an non-electrical quantities to electrical quantities. Inverse transducers are the devices operating just opposite to the transducers, that is electrical to non-electrical quantities itself. Piezoelectric transducers are devices which are capable of converting electrical quantities to non-electrical quantities, which is an inverse transducer. Quartz, barium titanate, and lead zirconate are piezoelectric substances acting as inverse transducers, and cadmium is not inverse transducer. Passive transducers are transducers that require energy to translate changes due to the measurand. Active transducers converts one form of energy into another. For example, photovoltaic cell in which light energy is converted into electrical energy and works on the principle of energy conversion and do not require any power to operate. Accuracy describes the algebraic difference between the measurand's true or theoretical value or indicated value. Resolution is the ability of the transducer and sensors to see small differences in reading. Precision refers to the degree of repeatability of a measurand. Threshold of the transducer is the smallest change in measurand that will result in a measurable change in the transducer output. Offset is the output that will exist when it should be zero. Linearity shows closeness of the transducer's calibration curve to a specific straight line which in a given percentage of full scale output. Noise is the unwanted signal at the output due to either to internal sources or interference. Linearity reflects that output is in some way proportional to the input. A linear sensor proportionally produces output to input. Photoelectric transducers converts light energy by causing the radiation to fall on a photosensitive element and measuring the electrical current so generated with a sensitive galvanometer directly or after suitable amplification into electrical current. Photovoltaic or barrier layer cells usually consist of a semiconducting substances which is generally selenium deposited on a metal base which may be iron and acts as one of the electrodes. The semiconducting material substance is the cover with a thin layer of silver or gold deposited by cathodic deposition in a vacuum. This layer acts as a collecting electrode. Photodiode is a PN junction semiconductor diode. It always operated in the reversed bias condition. The light is always focused through a glass lens on the junction of the photodiode. Photovoltaic cells are very robust in construction, need no external electrical supply, and produce a photocurrent sometimes stronger than other photosensitive elements. Typically, photocurrents produced by these cells are as high as 120 milliampere per lumen. At constant temperature, current sets up in the cell usually shows a linear relationship with the incident light. Thermistors is used to measure temperature. It is a temperature transducer. With a change in temperature, its resistance changes. Thus, in its working principle is variable resistance. Thermistors are the oxides of a certain metals like manganese, cobalt, and nickel, which have large negative temperature coefficient. That is, resistance decreases with the increase in temperature. Output transducers, which are converts electrical quantity to non-electrical quantities known as inverse transducers. For example, piezoelectric transducers. Thermocouples have the wide range of temperature measurement from minus 184 degrees Celsius to plus 230 degrees Celsius. That is 2300 degrees Celsius. RTD has a range of minus 200 degrees Celsius to plus 850 degrees Celsius. Thermistor has a range of 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius, minus 37 degrees Celsius to 356 degrees Celsius is conventional mercury thermometers, that is a G thermometers range. Thermocouple is a active transducers. The junction at a higher temperature is thermocouple is termed as measuring junction. The junction at lower temperature of in thermocouple is referenced as a reference temperature. Cold junction is usually kept at 0 degrees Celsius, lower temperature junction at 237 Kelvin or 0 degrees Celsius. When two wires of a different material are joined together at either end, forming two junctions which are maintained at different temperatures, a thermomotive force is generated, causing a current to flow around the circuit. This arrangement is called as a thermocouple. RTD, resistance temperature detector device, is a passive sensor and requires current excitation to produce an output voltage. RTD has very low temperature coefficient. Voltage drop across RTD is much larger than thermocouple output voltage. LVDT, linear variable differential transformer robustness, is a type of transformer used for measuring displacement by rectilinear motion to electrical signals, and it has the same principle of operation of transformer. Piezoelectric crystals produces an electrical signal when pressure is applied. For example, quartz, Rochelle salt, that is, it converts mechanical force into electrical signal. Capacitive transducers converts measurement into changes in capacitance, which is caused by change in dielectric or change in distance between plates. Photoconductive action is the property of reduction of resistance when exposed to light. Selenium shows photoconductive action. Piezoelectric transducers converts mechanical energy to electrical energy by detecting a knock or an impulsive force. They are also used in electronic drum pads to detect the impulse provided by the drum sticks. The LM35 IC manufactured by Texas Instruments is used as a temperature sensors. The output voltage generated by this IC is linearly proportional to the temperature in centigrade. When light falls on LDR, light dependent resistors, its resistance changes inversely proportional to the intensity of light. That is, when light falls on LDR, resistance decreases and more current flows through it, used to measure the intensity of light. Hall effect transducers or Hall effect sensors is used for measuring the magnitude of the magnetic field. Output voltage is directly proportional to the strength of magnetic field passing through it. Thank you. Sensors and